morning. Welcome to Beacon Unitarian Universalist Congregation. My name is Rachel Radzewski, and I'm your Beacon Worship Associate today. My pronouns are she, her, and I'm a 40-something woman with brown hair and a very summery flower dress on today. Welcome to a community committed to radical inclusion, feeding the human spirit and healing the world. As we gather today, we welcome amongst us elders and those just about toddling around. We welcome you who are here with great joy and deep despair. If you feel grounded in your being, and if you are terribly anxious, here we do not ask you to have it all together. Instead, we teach that it is coming together with our questions and vision that we find greater understanding, healing, and light for our world. So come into this place with all of who you are, however you are. Welcome.
My name is Misa Iwama. I'm the director of music ministry. My pronouns are she and her. I'm with John O'Neill, and we're going to start this morning by singing hymn number 112, which is Do You Hear? So I invite you to open the great hymnal and rise in all ways possible and join in singing. So we'll just give you a chance to turn the page to 112. Here we go. Do you hear, oh my friend, in the place where you stand, through the sky, through the land? Do you hear, in the heights, on the plain, in the vale, on the main, in the sun, in the rain? Do you hear, through the roar, through the rush, through the throng, through the crush? Do you hear in the hush of your soul, through the cry if you won't still? Hear the heart's call to will, hear a sigh of fear in your soul, From the place where you stand to the outermost strand, do you hear, oh my friend? Do you hear all the dreams, all the dares, all the sighs, all the prayers? They are yours, mine, and theirs. Do you hear? Do you hear?
Thank you, Misa and John. Good morning, beloved. I'm Reverend Robin. My pronouns are she, her, and I'm a member of the lead ministry team here at Beacon. I am a somewhat short, not elevated today. It's summer. It's a little humid. I'm wearing a multicolored dress, white woman with short brown hair. And we are going to begin this day by lighting our chalice, which is the symbol of Unitarian Universalism. And I would love some help. Would anyone like to light the chalice today? Just raise your hand. Invitation. No pressure. We can't start the service until we have Sylvia. Thank you. Here we go. Yeah, we can start now. There we go. I know. It gives us enough time to tell everyone you're Sylvia Walker. Thank you, Sylvia. So we gather this day, beloved, to kindle a light, to renew our hope, to illuminate what is possible, to remember what is good and real and persistent upon this sweet earth within the symphony of life, and with each one of us in this moment.
Good morning, Beacon. My name is Dennis Mannion. I use he, him pronouns. I'm a member of our Beacon chaplain team. I'm a white male, about 5'9", with reddish brown hair with a few touches of gray here and there. Chaplains are a trained lay ministry. We wear a maroon stole like this during services. It indicates that we are a resource available for deep listening and pastoral care during times of loss, anxiety, physical or emotional difficulty. If you'd like to speak with a chaplain or have questions about our chaplain ministry, please see me or anyone on our ministry team, or go to our Beacon website. Confidentiality is a sacred covenant with us. Another way we extend the spiritual care of our communities by facilitating our weekly community candle lighting ritual. And this morning, we light a candle of love and healing for all who are dealing with difficult medical diagnoses. A candle of support for graduating seniors and the many transitioning this time of year for students of all ages. A candle of gratitude for our staff members who attended the UU General Assembly this week and who helped our faith adopt a new statement of values and beliefs that places love at the center of our living tradition. A candle of hope and prayer that our nation will use sober discernment as we approach a national election this fall and elect leaders who agree with our newly revised, updated equity value. Quote, "We declare that every person is inherently worthy and has the right to flourish with dignity, love, and compassion." Unquote. For these and for so much more, we invite you now to come forward to light a candle here in our sanctuary or wherever you may be.
We have a reading today written by Wendell Berry called The Peace of Wild Things. When despair for the world grows in me, and I wake in the night at the least sound, in fear of what my life and my children's lives may be, I go and lie down where the wood drake rests in his beauty on the water, and the great heron feeds. I come into the peace of wild things, who do not tax their lives with forethought of grief. I come into the presence of still water, and I feel above me the day-blind stars waiting with their light. For a time, I rest in the grace of the world and am free.
Thank you, Rachel. Midsummer, or Litha, was just celebrated a week ago, June 21st. You may know it as the summer solstice. It is a time in neo-pagan and earth-based religious traditions when the longest day was a day to claim blessings of fertility and good fortune. Although it is the longest day of the year, summer solstice was seen in many cultures as a time of water. In astrology, in fact, it is when we enter the water sign, right? Because it's the longest day, and therefore every day after that becomes shorter. Good. I'm just making sure. It's kind of humid. It's like mid-morning. Maybe breakfast is kicking in. I don't know. In Egypt, the summer solstice is associated with the flooding of the Nile Delta. This flooding, although sometimes destructive, brings a fertility to the land that will ultimately create the harvest. The Delta is teeming with life in the wake of these floods. And in some contemporary pagan practices, offerings of flowers or plants are floated down streams or rivers with an intention of something that the person who makes such an offering wants to seed, wants to have come into being, to generate in this practice of fertility. And that brings us to this moment of meditation. Would you, as you're able, settle with me into this space? If you are joining us on the live stream, I invite you to maybe move your gaze away from the screen. For those here in the room, you may even wish to close your eyes, to take in a nice deep breath if you're able, even with allergies, through your nose. And then elongate that and exhale out through your mouth with a sigh. As you come into this place of stillness, take note of your physical being. Are there places of tension? Perhaps shoulders, as you're able, roll up and then down. Maybe some part of your body, maybe a hand is held tightly. And you just kind of find yourself in a posture of release. Here, drawn by this breath, I invite you in your mind's eye to imagine yourself before a stream, maybe even a river. You're at the edge of it. Take a moment to notice the surroundings, the plants around that stream. If there's a breeze that perhaps is touching your skin. sounds of water flowing over rocks. And here, at the edge of this stream, you have brought with you one such offering, a single flower or leaf, or maybe it's even been bundled into the tiniest of bouquets. Here in the midst of this summer solstice, knowing the earth herself to be teeming with life, what intention would you set now? What hope or aspiration would you hope would come to harvest in the coming fall? Setting this intention with clarity of purpose and presence. Imagine now in your mind's eye releasing this offering into the world, down that stream, watching it flow until it's past your view. And then just as that offering, that intention moves past your view, I invite you to say, "May it be so." Take a few more deep breaths, beloved, with me. Begin to bring movement to your body, maybe opening your eyes, coming back to this space, to this time, to one another. Indeed, may it be so.
We're going to sing Spirit of Life. It's number 1, 2, 3 in the hymnal, and we'll stay seated for this one. Spirit of life, come unto me, sing in my heart all the stirrings of compassion. Blow in the wind, rise in the sea, move in the hand, giving life the shape of justice. Roots hold me close, wings set me free. Spirit of life, come to me, come to me. Spirit of life, come unto me, giving life the shape of justice. Roots hold me close, wings set me free. Spirit of life, come to me, come to me.
Good morning, everyone. I am Mary O'Malley. Pronouns are she, her. I am old-ish, tall with Irish red hair and Irish freckled skin, but for those on camera, I am not wearing green. I've been asked to give testimony this morning about the journey that brought me to Beacon and what it means to be a member here. I've been told there's extra credit if I cry. My trip here probably started when I was 9 at Mass and concluded that God did not exist. There weren't enough kneelers. Yes, that was judgy, but it stuck. Lifelong atheism makes it hard to join a community of faith. However, I was driven to look for one. You see, I worked for 40 years as a professional good doer, building a corporate culture around doing well by doing good. I loved my profession, but I retired early to take care of my mom. Caretaking, I didn't have time for volunteering or friends, and my siblings were not helpful. Truly, caretaking nearly killed me. Mom died last year. Resurfacing from isolation and grief, it became clear that for me to thrive again, I needed a spirit-nourishing community. I had specific requirements. It had to be somewhere I could, as a snarky atheist, find belonging and opportunity to serve. As a good doer, I needed a community that believed deeply in inclusive social justice, showing commitment through action. Luckily, my daughter Carol, Satchel, in the back, was active in Beacon. She assured me I would fit in. On an intellectual level, it seemed to match. But it was the emotional connection Hanky needed that convinced me. Professional good doers who donate lots of money are welcomed everywhere. As a retiree, I no longer had that instant door opener. But even without philanthropy, I felt welcomed and accepted here and that I could be of service. Parenthetically, it may have helped that I know a lot about fundraising. And yes, I'm part of the Stewardship Committee and active with Beacon Hope and Equity Center. I am grateful to have found a new home with you. I am thankful that I am able to contribute. In the spirit of gratitude, I'll close by sharing my favorite good doer adage. When everyone does a little, a lot gets done. Whether it's through our time, talent, or treasure, each one of us can ensure that Beacon will continue to welcome snarky atheists like me and others well into the future.
At least a couple extra points, right? Yeah. Thank you, Mary. And with immense gratitude, our morning offering will now be received.
So just a bit of history to introduce this song we're going to do. It's by Duke Ellington, and he wrote it to celebrate the 100th anniversary of the founding of the country Liberia. So the history of Liberia is well beyond the scope of a song introduction. But I encourage you to learn, if you don't know already, about how it was founded in the 1800s as a place for formerly enslaved people from America to live. So the perspective of this song is a prayer from someone who is looking east to Africa as a place for new beginnings. I like the sunrise, 'cause it brings a new day. I like a new day. It brings new hope, they say. I like the sunrise, blazing in the new sky. Nighttime is weary, and oh, so am I. Every evening I wish upon a star that my brand new bright tomorrow isn't very far, when that heavy blue curtain of night is raised up high, way out of sight. I like the sunrise, so heavenly to see. I like the sunrise. I hope it likes poor me. I like the sunrise, so heavenly to see. I like the sunrise. I hope it likes poor me.
It's beautiful. And now we're reading a poem, actually, in Summertime by Paul Laurence Dunbar. When summertime has come and all the world is in the magic thrall of perfumed airs that lull each sense to fits of drowsy indolence, when skies are deepest blue above and flowers aflush, then most I love to start while early dews are damp and wend my way in woodland tramp, where forests rustle tree on tree and sing their silent songs to me, where pathways meet and pathways part, to walk with nature heart by heart, till wearied out at last I lie, where some sweet stream steals singing by, a mossy bank where violets vie in color with the summer sky. Or take my rod and line and hook and wander to some darkling brook, where all day long the willows dream and idly droop to kiss the stream, and there to loll from morn till night, unheeding nibble, run, or bite, just for the joy of being there and drinking in that summer air. The summer sounds and summer sights, that set a restless mind to rights. When grief and pain and raging doubt of men and creeds have worn it out, the bird's song and the water's drone, the humming bee's low monotone, the murmur of the passing breeze, and all the sounds akin to these that make a man in summertime feel only fit for rest and rhyme. Joy springs all radiant in my breast, though pauper poor, then king more blessed. The tide beats in my soul so strong that happiness breaks forth in song and rings aloud the welkin blue with all the songs I ever knew. O time of rapture, time of song, how swiftly glide thy days along, adown the current of the years, above the rocks of grief and tears. 'Tis wealth enough of joy for me, and summertime to simply be.
Despair for the world grows in me, I go and lie down where the wood drake rests in his beauty on the water, and the great heron feeds. It was 4:30 in the morning, and I couldn't sleep. The baby that we are fostering woke up at 3:30, and I could make it my excuse that I didn't go back to sleep because of him, but the truth is, he woke me up, but despair kept me up. And I remembered Wendell Berry's words. They came to me like a song I couldn't get out of my head. Well, I thought a duck helped him. Maybe a goldfinch could help me. So I made my way downstairs where an open window in front of our front garden bed and the bird feeder was. I watched as the sun rose over New Jersey and slowly listening to the finches and watching a cardinal enter the play and dance of food from the feeder, and then a dip in the bird bath. It was true that my breath started to come into a more natural rhythm of ease. My shoulders rolled away from my ears, replaced with the sounds soon of waking children. And then the water boiling for coffee and tea and milk poured against the soft rustle of Cheerios. And once more, this world I could love anew. Away from the heartache of death and struggle and the cynicism of political debates detailing the superior golf game. And the exhaustion of the pace of information and the dehumanizing engagement of social media, all the while in this country, 800 people are dying a day from poverty. It wasn't all right. Neither finches nor duck can do that. But there was a peace, a presence that endures in the midst of it all. And yes, I remembered without cynicism or resentment the words of the poet, when despair for the world grows in me, I go and I lie down where the wood drake rests in his beauty on the water, and the great heron feeds. It struck me in this last week that all there is to resist in the heat of summer, all the ways we try to avoid summer at times in New Jersey, there is a tenderness, a quietness to summer too that can elude us. And listening to it, engaging it, or as Dunbar says, walking with nature heart by heart. It seemed to me a spiritual practice, if not a prayer. Now, I won't pretend, even for having 15 years in ministry, to really know how to pray. I'm not sure I'm all that good at it. Not that many years ago, I went to a silent retreat. It was supposed to be 4 days long. 36 hours in, a very kind Catholic sister pulled me aside after I was caught talking in the chapel. "I don't think this is for you," she said. And honestly, I felt like a bird released from a cage on the ride home, so I think she was right. I respect those who meditate and find great strength and solace and support in it, and sometimes I meditate, but moreover, I have learned that when I can experience some kind of dialogue, a stimulation that causes a stir or movement, there is a mysterious sacredness, a stillness, even in that movement. It's a paradox that exists for me. Now, prayer for some of you in this room is perhaps an unusual or unwelcome practice, a word that you avoid. And for others, it's a common daily practice that you utilize. Prayer is one of those rubber words, too. We use it, and we all think we have the same meaning, but it kind of just bounces around the room. Even as I say it now, I can watch your facial expressions. Oh, ooh, ah. That can't possibly mean the same thing to everyone in the room. So what is prayer to a Unitarian Universalist? Well, I suppose it can have as much meaning as it can with a wide range of people, because we Unitarian Universalists are pretty diverse in the things that we believe and the ways in which we experience the world. I do know, however, that our faith relies upon a deep agnosticism. Not agnosticism in the sense of a declaration of if there is a God or not, but a hesitancy, rather, to hold truth with a definitive, eternal, and unmoving nature, with a capital T that can be known by one person or one group of people. We often say we believe in continuous revelation, that truth continues to emerge and is also guided by experience, perspective, and relationship. And so if prayer is a dialogue, I think for us Unitarian Universalists, that could show up in many ways. Not necessarily with God, especially if God is defined as some supreme, omniscient, all-controlling being, a guy in the sky, if you will. Although honestly, very few theologians, you or not, who believe in God would endorse such a simplistic understanding of such a complex theory. But rather, it can be a dialogue with one's ethical conscience, with the awareness of the brain that exists when we move away from the amygdala, high cortisol, stress living. Perhaps it's a dialogue with nature, an understanding and experience beyond words of the diversity of living and knowing that exists amongst the symphony of life. Perhaps it is a dialogue with an energy force that has no name at all and yet seems incredibly benevolent and present for you when you are attuned to it. Or maybe indeed you call that mystery that seemingly sometimes spills with grace over into your life with no causation, God. I spend very little time, the more and more I have come into ministry, trying to understand the exact nature of the dialogue, and more desire to simply enter into it. I learned this from a beloved member of a congregation I served years ago, who was maybe not a cranky atheist, but let us say an ardent atheist. Her name was Jody, and Jody was also a fierce social justice warrior. She was an incredibly compassionate human being who created these wonderful ministries around the world, connecting groups of women who were trying to fight for human rights, and did so by helping to cultivate businesses that created independence for them, often in cultures and countries where women were not afforded such opportunities or leadership. It was a shock to us all when Jody was diagnosed with lung cancer and the news that it had spread, including to her brain. It was a shock to us all that this vibrant, early 60-year-old woman who was so fierce and clear in her purpose and who seemed to create and engender community wherever she went was on what the doctors predicted to be a very short journey to a great transition. And it was. It was not a matter of years, it was a matter of months for Jody. But what surprised me the most, and surprised Jody as well, was in that final journey, though she wasn't afraid, she found that from her childhood, prayers that she had been taught and hadn't used in years brought her great comfort. She confessed this to me in the hospital one day. I was sitting with her, and they had to relieve pressure in her brain, and they were going to have to drill into her brain, well, her skull. And I was at the bedside, and she said, "Would you stay just behind the glass doors while they do this procedure? And I have another request." And I thought, well, Jody, gosh, anything. She said, "I don't know, it's kind of embarrassing." I thought, well, what is the request? I'll do whatever you need me to do. She said, well, some of the prayers that I grew up with, especially like the Our Father, I've just started repeating them, and they bring me a lot of calm. I don't believe anything in those prayers, but there's something about the rhythm of them that brings me into a place of peace. So I was wondering, I'm really nervous right now, and I'm having trouble finding my words. Would you offer the prayers with me? And immediately she started to back up because I was so surprised, but not horrified by any means. I was honored, but surprised. "Oh, never mind," she said. Don't worry about it. You don't have to do it." I said, "No, it's fine. I think I remember them myself." And so we offered these prayers together, and this became a practice. Sometimes she would call me, and I would be in the middle of the grocery store, and she would ask me to offer a prayer with her, and there I was trying to determine which spaghetti to buy, and I would quietly step aside and, to the bafflement of the shoppers near me, offer a prayer. I'm sure they thought I was some very conservative religious person who prayed over every decision. I can only imagine the story fabricated. But what I learned from Jody was a certain humility of heart, but also the practice that sometimes we don't have to exact and map out the meaning for every single experience. Sometimes we can enter into mystery, and out of that practice, find peace and find a more pervasive truth than we are told in the constant pulse and blaze and blare that can be some of our days. I'm well aware, beloved, of the injustice in the world and all that is not right. And I could preach to you this Sunday any manner of things that bring me horror and make me aghast, and we would be right to pay attention to them. But I also see a more pervasive panic at times within myself and within one another. Has anyone felt a tinge of despair? Any brave folks want to admit that I'm not standing here alone? Thank you. And so I've been thinking lately that an amped up amygdala is probably not going to save us. If we are going to be about a transformative moment and moreover movement, it won't come from a place of reactivity or tribalism or rage, and certainly not fear. I'm not saying this morning that we ought to escape the world. Rather, by consequence, I'm saying be in deeper dialogue with it. In order to truly be a part of the healing and justice that will ameliorate great wounds, we must also heal the manifestations of those very unjust systems in our own hearts and minds. The urge to hit back and cynically deride our futures does not give any of us a constructive path forward. Rather, these practices of savoring help us remember what is worth saving. As Paul Lawrence Dunbar, who certainly was no stranger to struggle or hardship, the son of two formerly enslaved persons, and he himself who had tuberculosis, and yet in his brief 33 years wrote an epic amount of stunning poetry. As he declares at the very end of the poem we heard this day, "'Tis wealth enough of joy for me in summertime to simply be." Or as one of my favorite songs declares, "This joy that I have, the world didn't give it to me. The world didn't give it, and the world can't take it away. It is the practice, the world as a created, constructed, the world of social media, the world of newspapers and politics and debates, the world of financial reports, the world of bills and debt and worries and exhaustion, the world of awaiting test results. Our joy does not come from that world, but from a deeper living in earth. It is the practice that I'm calling us to of experiencing the deeper fountain of knowing beyond the constructed world, knowing our joy is not sourced by the outcome of one single moment in history or confidence in a particular time, but that even in the greatest struggle, there is still a deeper joy. And from slowing to experience that joy, we can find gratitude. Fellow heretic Meister Eckhart says of prayer that the greatest prayer you can say is thank you. Maybe that is what I seek. Maybe that is what we are longing for. The space to be grateful again, to move away from the assuredness that I know all and all is despair. So if the voices of leaders do not stir your mind to inspiration, and the news of the day does not profit a prophetic future, and you feel closed down and done, then perhaps the poets point the guide to the dock or the window or even that little bit of concrete where the dandelion has raised her head in defiance. And even the most ordinary finch can remind you of that ancient healing prayer. Thank you. Thank you. Thank you.
Thank you. All right, we're going to do some praying out loud. This is number 208, Every Time I Feel the Spirit. So I invite you to rise and join in singing this amazing spiritual. Here we go. Every time I feel the Spirit moving in my heart, a mountain, my God spoke. Over mount came fire and smoke. All around me looks so shine. Ask my God if all was mine. Yes, every time I feel the Spirit moving in my heart, I will pray. Yes, every time I feel the Spirit moving in my heart, I will pray. The river Jordan runs right cold, chills the body, not the soul. Ain't but one train on this track, runs to heaven and runs right back. Every time I feel the Spirit moving in my soul, I will pray. Yes, every time I feel the Spirit moving in my heart, I will pray. Every time I feel the Spirit moving in my heart, I will pray. Yes, every time I feel the Spirit moving in my heart, I will pray.
Wow. Misa and John, that hymn was a workout. I saw that. That was like high energy, beautiful movement. Thank you. Would you take hands with one another, beloved, as we close our time together, our service here, but not our service to the world. And now, there we go, we make it work. And now may the love that is our source and ultimate return, may it hold you and keep you and guide you. May it fill you until your cup runneth over, to give of that love to a weary and yet wonderful world. So may it be until we meet again, beloved. Amen.